Models, the ultimate hobby. This is the building of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to create a beautiful centerpiece, to seek out new builders and young model makers, to boldly go where no model has gone before.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Model Frontier. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss a second of my great content. So last time we started putting the windows into the iconic Cobra neck of the ship, as well as working on the frame for the saucer section a little more. And this next shipment is gonna be more of the same, unfortunately. But before we get into that, I wanted to let you know I made some modifications to my bridge module I wanted to take a moment to share with you all. So here goes my bridge module. Now, before I point out the modifications that I made to this, I want to explain the reason why. Now, I watch another YouTube channel called World of Wayne. He puts together this and other models as well. I highly recommend checking out his channel. I've put a link to it down in the description below. Now, watching his videos on this build, he's pointed out a couple of things that I've never noticed but are nonetheless true. If you take a look at the picture of my bridge all lit up right here, there's this section right here that they have brightly lit. So what's wrong with that? Well, these things aren't windows. They're actually called emergency flush vents. So as such, they wouldn't actually light up. Also, on both sides of the bridge, there's these two hatches. What's wrong with these, you may ask? Well, if you take a look at this picture here, they're clearly not the same color as the rest of the hull. Now, initially, I couldn't find any actual evidence of this other than this picture from a book about the ship. And there's a good reason for that. When the show was made, they didn't really show every part of the ship in great detail. They mainly shot a few angles of the model and then composited them into different scenes. While this worked to make, several episodes of a show, it also means there are sections of this ship that you don't ever actually see. Fortunately, however, we don't just have to stick to the show. There's one film where the Enterprise D appears, Star Trek Generations. And being a feature film, that might mean there's more angles of the ship because of the bigger budget. And sure enough, in this scene where the Enterprise saucer section crashes onto Veridian 3, we get a clear look at the whole top of the bridge. And look at that. Right there, the hatches are clearly red. So it's no longer just a book that says this, it's actually screen accurate to the ship. So I decided to take it upon myself to paint both of these. I used acrylic paints because it's what I had on hand. You can use whatever you want to do. I'll tell you how I did it, even though I can't really show you because I already did it, obviously. But first of all, I'm going to talk about how I did the two hatches. I just taped them off with some simple masking tape. I taped off... I don't know if you can see it there, but I just basically taped off around the edge here. And same thing on the other side there. And then I used a crimson colored paint to just paint them down. Basically, I put the paint on my brush and I just kind of, where it was taped off, I just kind of went straight down with it. And of course I had these off as well. I took these apart and did this. The tape protected the rest of the hull, and why I chose a darker crimson red, I just felt like it looks better compared to the rest of the ship. Now the vent was a little trickier. First off, for this vent I went with an extremely dark gray instead of going straight black. I did leave the other vent alone just because there wasn't so much of a variation in the colors to justify spending time to try to paint that one to match. If you do go with a markedly different color, some people might go a slight shade darker than the hull. I'd recommend you paint them both. And like I said, I just kind of took this part out and I just painted the vents. I found it easier for my purposes to just kind of dip the vents in the paint and then smooth it as best I could. I also painted the bottom of it. I made that as opaque as possible, which brings me to another issue with this modification: the lighting. Remember back to the first video, we did put a light in here, which you can see I still have. And then when you did that, you still have this loose bulb. Now, obviously they're insinuating that this is going to go into the model somewhere at some point. So you can't just take out this entire string and just say, forget about it. So what I did, on top of making sure that the bottom of this piece, so the bottom of this vent was totally opaque, I actually blacked out the bulb that's in there. It took a couple of layers to completely do it, and again, all I basically did was dip the bulb into the paint, the same color paint as on the vent, and kind of smooth it out, wait for it to dry, added a couple of layers to it. But once it's all done, there's absolutely no light bleed through this. So now when we plug it in and light it all up, you can see there's no light coming from the vent here, and we still have this bulb here ready to go wherever it's going, probably somewhere on the outside, probably somewhere in there, like under a deck plate or something that comes later. So those are the modifications I did for my bridge module. Now, this isn't something that you necessarily have to do, and it's not even something I'm recommending or suggesting that you do. I just wanted to show you something I decided to do, explain my reason why, and leave it there. As always, the best part about this is it's your model, and you're free to do whatever you want to do with it. But now we're done with that, let's get on with the work we have to do today. Engage. Alright all, so here we are with the start of kit 4. We got more electrics. Looks like again we're going to be flip-flopping between the neck and the frame again. So more fun stuff. Let's just get right into it. So our first step, we're going to flip this over and we're going to put in this piece. Thankfully they did not make you do these all individually. So only one way it can go in. Make sure your wires are out of the way, and it's just going to slot into place there. See, we'll just kind of you'll hear it snap into place. Now that's in. Now we're doing the electrical. Alright, so what it looks like they're going to have us do is we are putting in one string from each of these. The one with the yellow is going to go into this. So you might want to expand them a little bit. I like to always have a little extra to work with. And again, they recommend going in 90-degree angles with these, so just kind of do the best you can to bend them up close to 90 as you can. just the yellow ones, it looks like. I suppose we need to test them first. Always test your lights first. Make sure everything's working. Both of those are lit up. And those are both lit up. Our lights are working. As I said, now we're going to bend this one to that 90-degree angle. Okay, and then the green one you're going to put on top. I think this is another case where we're going to actually want to do it like this. So, once again, 4 BP screws. Plastic, we use P's. Now we'll take this other one, get it in. So now that piece is in, the windows are in. We're not done with this section yet, obviously, so we're going to set it aside and we're going to do the frame. So now we got our big section of frame back. We're just going to add another piece to it. Just like this side. This side's going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So slot it in there and 4 BM screws to hold it into place. And there we go. Stage 11 finished. The frame's coming together. It looks like we got about half of it done. So, you know, that's giving you an idea of just how big this thing's going to be, but it's pretty cool to see it sort of coming together. I can't wait to see the rest of it just kind of turn this way. So let's see what comes in the next part of our adventure. Okay, so for the next part of our thing, we're going to slot the second set of windows in. And we're going to finally get these loose cords, these loose bulbs, kind of where they need to go. So, cord management is definitely starting to become a thing here. So, I'm going to start off, I know it's not the exact order, but I'm going to start off by putting these at their 90-degree angle, just because they're going to want them there. Alright. Slot the window in, just like before. And our one piece here, we're going to get it started. We're going to get our reflector panel in. And it doesn't look like it matters which light goes to what, so I'm just going to go straight across. Alright, now all those are in. That is a lot of wires to be messing with. But now, we're going to see what it looks like all lit up. Alright, and everything's plugged in, and look at that. Look at how nice that looks. Actually, you can give it a little darkness here, so look at how nice that looks now. Looking like the Enterprise D already. So now let's unhook all this. Set everything aside. And now it's time to do more on the skeleton. So this part, it looks like we're just adding a couple of pieces to the two sides here to expand the frame a little more. This should be old hat. 4 BM screws per. 1 fat, 1 skinny per side. And that's all there is to the rest of this step. So that's it for this stage. Once again, nice and tight, no play. So I have a sneaking suspicion that next stage is going to involve us continuing to build the saucer skeleton, but we'll see what comes up in the next part of your shipment, which will be stage 13. Alright, so here we are with stage 13. Again, it looks like we're doing some more on the neck, and we're doing more of the frame. So, just like I thought we were from last time. So this part's pretty simple. We're just going to drop this piece. This is basically the Enterprise's main impulse engine, and it is just going to slot in. It goes like this. Should fit in a little bit tight. There we go. That's a pretty good squeeze there. And then 3 DP screws to hold it in place. Okay, now that's in. We'll put our spare screw there. Voila, there's that. Now, this piece that comes in this set, they do tell you in the instructions, save it for the next stage. So I'm just going to set that right in here. We're going to set this aside, and we're going to get our frame back. Alright, so back to the frame, and we got another piece to add to it. Yay! So, now, the way it looks like it's going to go on this side, and this curve here is going to jive with that curve there. That's how you know you got it in right. Same as always, 4 BM screws. You know what to do from here. There we go. We've got another piece of the frame added on. And now next we'll get on to the last part of this month's shipment for you, which will be stage 14. Okay, so stage 14 starts just like we did on stage 13. We're gonna put this piece on. Same way, curve to curve, 4 BM screws. This should be old hat for you by now. So there we go. That's it for this part of stage 14. Now they want us to do more work on the neck, so we're going to bring that piece back out and get more work done on that. Okay, so now we're doing some more work on this. The first step we got is we're taking that white section that we were told to hang on to, and I'm going to try to show you here as best I can. There's a slot there, and to that we are going to add a piece that's, I don't know why, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it does anything, but it says to do it in the instructions. This one I left in the bag because it is literally a clear piece of plastic, and it just sort of fits into that slot. There's a narrow end and a wide end. It goes in narrow end first, and it just kind of sits in there. And then we're going to slide this right in there. Okay, so now that we got that done, we're going to add the electrics. Now, you need one CP screw or one BP screw, and that's because on this piece there is already a tab there. So you're going to take your circuit board, and it can only go in one way because the tab is, you can't put it in the other way. Because then nothing will fit. It can only go in one way because they got the lights cut in such a way that they only fit into this slot. So if it's not going in flush, you've got it in wrong. It's got it in flush. Take your single BP screw and secure it down. Alright, that's in. Now for the next step, we need 2 CP screws. And this is basically, we're just going to put this down to here. And we're going to secure this in with these 2 screws. So now that we got that in, we can actually see what this thing looks like lit up. You're going to plug it into the only other open 2 slot. There we go. Impulse engine lighting up just like it should. That is it for stage 14. So that's it for this shipment. Tune in next time where we're going to do stages 15 through 18. Plus, we're going to get the next of our great free gifts. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out all my great content, and I'll catch you next time on the Model Frontier.